Behind the glitter of Manhattan or the calm of the Adirondack Mountains, New York holds a domestic landscape that is far quieter and more threatening. Its long colonial history, collapsed industrial glory, and remnants of past medical experiments have left real architectural wounds across its outer regions. Many small towns in this state are no longer known for their beauty, but for their atmosphere of isolation, collective trauma, and sociological strangeness crystallized in the corners of their streets. Here is a factual look at 15 locations in New York with some of the most unsettling records. Places where public and domestic spaces have turned into real monuments of fear. In the quiet farmland of Genesee County, East Bethany is home to one of the most chilling structures in the United States, Rolling Hills Asylum. Built in 1827 as a facility for the poor, orphans, and people with mental illness, it grew into an institutional complex that recorded thousands of deaths with unclear identities during its years of operation. East Bethany's visual atmosphere is dominated by the decaying red brick corridors of rolling hills, damaged by water seepage and structural neglect. Bathing rooms with rusted iron pipes, remnants of restraint beds, and a morgue on the lower level give the place an intensely grim texture on camera. The presence of an unmarked mass cemetery behind the complex confirms that East Bethany is more than just an ordinary rural small town. Moving to Long Island in Suffolk County, Amityville is a coastal suburb whose name has become universally linked with domestic horror. The real mass murder of the DeFeo family by Ronald DeFeo Jr. in 1974 inside a Dutch colonial house on Ocean Avenue permanently changed the town's social identity. Although the surrounding area looks like a quiet upper-middle-class neighborhood, the iconic house with two ghostly eye-shaped attic windows remains a magnet for uneasy attention. Visual documentation of the town shows a sharp contrast between the calm water near its small docks and the claustrophobic aura of a neighborhood forced to live beside the memory of a legendary bloody crime. Next, along the Hudson River in Westchester County, Sleepy Hollow can never escape the shadow of Washington Irving's Gothic literature. Originally named North Tarrytown, the village officially changed its name in 1996 to embrace its mythological identity as the home of the Headless Horseman. The town's atmosphere is strongly shaped by thick fog that often rolls in from the Hudson River, especially around Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. This old cemetery spans dozens of acres and contains moss-covered 18th century stone graves near the quiet Old Dutch Church and its historic bridge area. Sleepy Hollow is relatively small, but its mix of old colonial architecture, large bare trees in autumn, and calm waterways creates the impression that time and reality have been deliberately paused to preserve its classic horror. Beyond that, there is Lily Dale, an isolated town in southwestern New York in Chautauqua County. This town belongs on the list because of its total sociological anomaly. Founded in 1879, this gated settlement serves as the home of the Lily Dale Assembly, the largest spiritualist religious community in the world. Only one main profession dominates this small town: mediums, psychics, and spirit communicators. The atmosphere of Lily Dale feels like a time capsule from the Victorian era. Rows of old wooden homes with faded colors stand close together beneath a thick forest canopy. The silence feels strangely unnatural. There is no noise of modern activity, only wooden signs reading medium on the porches of homes. Places like Leolin Woods and the outdoor spirit calling areas give a thick, occult aura on camera, showing a town whose entire social system is built around communication with the dead. Still in the remote region of western New York, Hinsdale in Cattaraugus County is an area of hills and dense forest known for Hinsdale House. This isolated two-story wooden house beside a rural road became the site of one of the most extreme documented poltergeist disturbances and exorcism rituals of the 1970s, performed by Father Alphonse Trebold. Hinsdale does not have a large town center. Its power as an unsettling small town comes from its geographic isolation. The image of Hinsdale House, with weather-darkened wooden walls surrounded by tall dead pine trees, presents pure rural horror aesthetics. The silence around the site, combined with the structure's history of strange mechanical phenomena, makes Hinsdale a focal point for visual documentation of the darker side of inland New York. Moving to Orange County brings us to Pine Bush, a small town that watches the night sky with a different kind of anxiety. Since the 1980s, Pine Bush has been recognized as one of the most active centers of UFO sightings and alien abduction reports on the East Coast of the United States. The unsettling atmosphere in Pine Bush does not come from colonial ghosts, but from non-traditional paranormal paranoia. Rural roads cutting through wide cornfields and the protected forests around Shawangunk create a quiet and mysterious visual landscape. The many reports of strange flashes of light above the tree line and low-frequency electromagnetic vibrations have created a social environment where locals live with a constant awareness of threats coming from the empty sky. Utica offers a different kind of fear. Although it is officially a mid-sized city, its older district in Oneida County holds the essence of a place haunted by institutional architecture. The center of that fear is the Utica Psychiatric Center, a massive psychiatric hospital opened in 1843. This was where the Utica crib was developed, a human restraint box known as one of the cruelest devices in American medical history. The main building, known as Dunham Hall, has a neoclassical facade with giant Greek-style stone columns that now look dirty and cracked. Locked iron windows cover rooms where thousands of lobotomy experiments and extreme hydrotherapy treatments once took place. The building's oversized scale in a fading urban area creates an intimidating visual contrast, showing how 19th century medical policy left a chilling architectural wound in the middle of the city. If Utica's horror comes from a massive psychiatric hospital, this town offers a sharp contrast. Located on the north shore of Long Island, Huntington is a wealthy suburban area, but it holds one zone considered one of the most haunted road corridors in New York, Mount Misery Road and Sweet Hollow Road. These narrow roads cut through dense forests that modern development has barely touched. The atmosphere here feels deeply unsettling because the roads are winding, poorly lit, and covered by tree canopies that block sunlight almost completely in some spots. Reports of a ghostly woman near an old 19th century railroad bridge, along with stories of cars moving by themselves when engines are turned off on the Sweet Hollow incline, create a spatial kind of fear. Now we shift underground into something claustrophobic. Lockport in Niagara County gets its name from the massive lock system of the Erie Canal, but the city's darker attraction lies beneath the surface, through the Lockport Caves, a network of underground channels and water tunnels carved through solid limestone by immigrant workers in the mid-19th century, using hand tools and crude explosives. As mentioned earlier, the conditions inside Lockport's underground caves create an intense claustrophobic atmosphere. Wet stone corridors, total darkness broken only by flashlight beams, and the echo of underground water create a heavy visual illusion. The history of fatal work accidents during tunnel construction adds to Lockport's underground darkness, making it a perfect example of a city hiding frightening mechanical secrets beneath its streets. Returning to Wayne County, Palmyra is known as the birthplace of the Mormon movement in the early 19th century. But for those looking for Gothic visuals, the main focus of this small town is Phelps General Store, a commercial building from 1826 that served as both a store and the Phelps family home for more than a century. What makes Phelps Store unique is that its interior was intentionally left unchanged after its last owner locked the doors in the 1940s. Wooden shelves still hold dusty old medicine bottles, decaying Victorian clothing, and early 20th century children's toys left scattered under layers of cobwebs. Palmyra's small-town atmosphere is strengthened by this store, which feels like a time capsule that suddenly died, where the reported poltergeist activity inside the building seems to match the visual decay of the domestic objects within it. Still in the same county, there is Savannah, a small farming town. Its southern area borders the Montezuma National Wildlife Refuge, a vast complex of swamps and wetlands. Visually, Savannah offers a very quiet and foggy rural landscape. The swamp area, with dead tree trunks rising from dark surface water, creates a gloomy visual texture. When thick fog rolls in from the lake, visibility on Savannah's dirt roads drops sharply, creating an intense feeling of isolation where the line between safe land and dangerous wetland becomes blurred. Near the Vermont border, Hoosick Falls in Rensselaer County presents a different kind of fear. Environmental horror caused by real industrial chemical contamination. This beautiful small industrial town suffered a clean water crisis after local factories polluted groundwater sources with toxic PFOA chemicals for years, triggering concern over chronic illness among residents. Hoosick Falls becomes an image of deceptive beauty. Victorian homes lining the hills and the flow of the Hoosick River look aesthetically pleasing, but the presence of clean water monitoring points, giant filtration tanks, and abandoned old factories on the edge of town creates an atmosphere of structural anxiety. Next, located far in northern New York near the Canadian border, Plattsburgh in Clinton County holds a very long military history dating back to the War of 1812 era. Slightly different from the previous towns, the main source of fear here centers on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, much of which has now been deactivated. Red brick military barracks from the 19th century still stand in stiff but empty rows. Places like the Old Base Civic Center show cold institutional military architecture, with echoing large halls and underground corridors once used for wartime logistics storage. The silence of this vast military base, combined with the history of bloody conflict at Plattsburgh Bay, creates the atmosphere of discipline that has died and been abandoned by time. Moving to Watertown, we find a city with a public space known for its unsettling geographic anomaly, Thompson Park. This city park, designed by the famous Olmsted architecture firm, has an area reported to be a local vortex, where compasses stop working and visitors often suddenly lose their sense of direction. Thompson Park itself is dominated by an old medieval-style stone water tower rising from the highest point of the park. The man-made forest area inside the park has a confusing network of walking paths, surrounded by dry, natural limestone formations. The conditions here often capture a strange contrast between the park's role as a public recreation space and the strong psychological isolation that appears when fog begins to cover the old stone tower. To close today's series of stories, Schenectady presents a fear rooted in the colonial massacre of 1690. This story shows how the city's early settlement was destroyed by a surprise attack from French forces and indigenous allies. The remains of that collective memory are crystallized in Vale Cemetery, a 100-acre 19th century cemetery cutting through the middle of the city. Vale Cemetery feels deeply unsettling because of its size and its old graves integrated into the natural valley and wetland landscape. In some of its deepest burial sections, angel-shaped stone monuments stand cracked and covered in black moss, shaded by ancient trees that no longer have leaves. The image of this vast cemetery in the middle of Schenectady offers physical proof of how a modern urban area was built on land, holding a radical history of mass death from the past.